You're welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, you are welcome. This is JAMB Tutorials, and what I do is to help students preparing for the exams on the English language and on literature. Please, I would like you to click on the subscribe button so you can get notified each time I upload a new video, and so also you can see the other videos that I've already uploaded on this channel and share the video to your friends as well. Today I'll be discussing the poem The Proud King by William Morris. The Proud King by William Morris. I'll start with the analysis, then discuss the structure and then the poetic devices in the poem. I encourage you to stay tuned to the end of this video to learn everything that you need to know about this poem, The Proud King. The poem is made up of 119 stanzas of 849 lines. So it is very long. I won't be reading the poem for you here, but I'll leave a link for you at the description box so you can read the poem if you want to. The Proud King is a narrative poem that centers on a king who ruled over many lands. He conquered and acquired more countries through war that he added to his kingdom and finally became an emperor due to so many countries he had conquered and vanquished. One night, after he had been made an emperor, he lay awake and thought about himself, and he said, "Surely no one can be greater than I am, on earth or in heaven." He fell asleep with these thoughts. When he woke up, the day was bright, and he looked out on the pleasant world and beckoned on his men that they would go hunting on that day. So they went hunting, mounted on the horses, and dogs came leaping along with them. They had hunted all morning and were now in deep wood. In the fields, the sun had beat them, and they found solace under the shade of trees. But the proud King Jovinian wished for something more soothing than just sitting under the shade of trees. He then saw a lake not far off, and he said to his men, "Bide ye here while I bathe in the lake and cool myself." Then he took to the lake without his men. On reaching to the shore of the lake, he got down from his horse, laid aside his clothes, and plunged into the cool lake. He swam, and sometimes dived beneath the surface of the lake. He felt more cool and fresh. Now, while the king was enjoying the cool lake, swimming and diving deep inside the lake, there came someone who had the same face and form as King Jovinian, the proud king. He came close to the shore, dressed himself in the king's clothes, and rode away with the king's horse. So when the king was satisfied with his swimming, he came to the place where he had left his clothes and horse, but they were gone. He looked about but did not see anyone. He called, but no one answered him. The air was mild, but the wood was dark, and no sunshine came through to warm him after having his cool bath in the lake. He walked by the lake and thought of what he should do. "I have it," he cried at last. "Not far from here lives a knight. It was but a few days ago that I made him a knight and gave him a castle. I'll go to him, and he will be glad enough to clothe his king." The proud king made a mat from reeds, which he used to cover his nakedness, and then he walked to the castle of the knight. He beat loudly at the gate of the castle and called for the porter. The porter came and stood behind the gate. He did not open the gate immediately, but asked, "Who is there?" "Open the gate," replied the proud king, "and you will see who I am." Then the porter opened the gate and was surprised at what he saw. "Who are you?" asked the porter. "Wretch," said the proud king, "I am the emperor. Go to your master, bid him to come to me with clothes. I have lost both clothes and horse." "A pretty emperor," the porter laughs. The porter told him that the great emperor was here not an hour ago, and that he came with him and sat and dined with the knight. "But stay here, I will call my master." "Oh yes, I will show him the emperor," said the porter, who wagged his beard and laughed and went in. He came forth again with the knight, pointed at the proud king. "There is the emperor," he said. "Look at him. Look at the great emperor." "Draw near," the proud king said to the knight, "and kneel to me. I gave thee this castle. I made thee a knight. I give thee now a greater gift. I give thee the chance to clothe thy emperor with clothes of thine own. This annoyed the knight. You dog, you fool, the knight cried. I have just ridden with the emperor and have come back to my castle. Here, he shouted at his servant, beat this fellow and drive him away from the gate. The porter looked and laughed. Lay on well, the porter said to the other servant. It is not every day that you can flog an emperor. Then they beat the proud king and drove him away from the castle's gate. Base knight, I gave him all he has, and this is how he repays me. I will punish him when I sit on my throne again, said the proud king. Then he decides to go to the duke, whose house is close by, whom he has known all of his days, all of his life. He will know me. He will know his emperor, said the proud king. So he came to the gate of the duke's great hall and knocked 3 times. At the 3rd knock, the porter opened the gate and saw him, a man covered only in a mat of reeds, and stained and bleeding. Go, I pray you, to the duke, said the proud king, and bid him come to me. Say to him that the emperor stands at the gate. He has been robbed of his clothes and his horse. Go quickly to your master. The porter closed the gate between them and went to the duke. Your grace, said the porter, there is a madman at the gate. He is unclad and wide. He asked me to come to you and tell you he was the emperor. Here is a strange thing indeed, said the duke. I will see for myself. So he went to the gate, followed by his servant. And when the porter opened the gate, the proud king knew the duke, but the duke only saw a bruised and a beaten madman. Do you know me? Cried the proud king. I am your emperor. Just this morning you were with me on the hunt. I left so that I might bathe in the lake. While I was in the water, some wretch took my clothes and my horse, and I have been beaten by a base knight. Put me in chains, said the duke to his servant. It is not safe to have such a man free. Give him some straw to lie on and some bread and water. The duke turned away and went back to the hall to meet his friends. That was a strange thing, he said. There was a madman at the gate. He must have been in the wood this morning, for he told me that I was on the hunt with the emperor. So I was. And he told me that the emperor went apart to bathe in the lake, and so he did. But he said that someone stole the clothes and the horse of the emperor. Yet the emperor rode back to us cool and fresh, and clothed, and on his horse. And he said, and the duke looked around on his guests. What did he say? Asked one of the guests. He said that he was the emperor. Then the guests began to talk and laugh, and so forgot the strange thing the duke was telling them about. The proud king lay in a dark prison, far even away from the servants of the duke. He lay on a straw and chains bound his feet. What is it that has come upon me? He said. Am I brought so low? Am I so changed that even the duke does not know me? Let me wear what I may. Then he struggled and loosed the chains that bound him and escaped in the night from Duke's prison. In the morning he stood at the door of his own palace. He stood there a while. Perhaps someone would open the door and let him in, but no one came. And the proud king lifted his hand and knocked at the door of his own palace. The porter came at last and looked at him. Who are you? He asked. And what do you want? Do you know me? Cried the proud king. I am your master. I am the king. I am the emperor. Let me pass. I would have thrust the porter aside, but the porter was a strong man. He stood in the doorway and would not let the proud king enter. You, my master. You, the emperor. Poor fool, look at him. And he held the proud king by the arm while he pointed to the hall beyond. There sat the emperor on his throne, and at his side was the queen. Let me go to her. She will know me, cried the proud king, and he tried to break away from the porter. The noise was heard on the hall. The nobles came out, and the last to come out was the emperor and the queen. When the proud king saw these two, he could not speak. He was choked with rage and fear, and he knew not what to do. You know me? At last he cried. I am your lord and husband. The queen shrank back. Friends, said the man who stood by her, what shall be done to this wretch? Kill him, said one. Put his eyes out, said another. Beat him, said a third. Then they all hustled the proud king out of the palace court. Each one gave him a blow, and so he was thrust out, and the door was shut behind him. The proud king ran away to where he didn't know. He wished he were dead. Later he came to the lake where he bathed and sat on the shore. It was like a dream, but he knew he was awake, for he was hungry and cold and tired. He knelt on the ground and beat his breast and said, I am no emperor, I am no king, I am a poor sinful man. Once I thought there was no one greater than I on earth and in heaven. Now I know that I am nothing, and there is no one so poor and so mean. God forgive me for my pride. As he said this, tears welled up in his eyes. He wiped them away and rose to his feet. Close by him he saw the clothes which he had once laid aside. Close to him was his horse eating the soft grass. The king put on his clothes. He mounted his horse and rode to his palace. As he drew near, the door opened, and servants came forth. One held his horse, and another helped him dismount. The porter bowed low. I marvel, I did not see thee pass, my lord, said the porter. The king entered again, saw the nobles in the great hall. There stood the queen. Also by her side was the man who called himself emperor. But the queen and the nobles did not look at him. They looked at the king and came forward to meet him. This man also came forward to meet him, but he wore a shining white robe and no more the emperor's robes. The king bowed his head before him. I am thy angel, said the man. Thou wast proud, and made thyself to be set on high. Therefore thou hast been brought low. I have watched over thy kingdom. Now I give it back to you. For thou art once again humble, and the humble only are fit to rule. The angel disappeared while he spoke only to the king, and only the king heard him while he spoke. Another person did, and the nobles and the queen thought the king had bowed to them. So the king once more sat on the throne and ruled wisely and humbly ever after. At the end of the poem, he died and someone else took over. So that was the poem. As you can see, it's a long narrative poem. Now let's look at the themes. The first one I'm going to consider is the theme of pride. Pride. The poem revolves around King Jovinian and his pride and how it cost him all he had. The poem also illustrates how King Jovinian's pride made people to fear him unnecessarily. In line 11, nor first speak to him for his life. This shows the extent people fear him and find it difficult to speak to him for the sake of their lives. In lines 22, 28, he said, what need have I for a temple or priest? Am I not God? What that I live, at least. In those lines, he does not see the need for a priest or temple because he believes while he lives, he is a god. The second theme we're going to look at is the theme of the supremacy of God. The supremacy of God. The poem proves that the supremacy of God is far higher than that of Jovinian. Jovinian's supremacy makes him maintain fear and respect for his position, but the supremacy of God made him lose his position, shamed him, and made him worthless in everyone's eyes. The third thing we look at is the inevitability of death. The inevitability of death. King Jovinian thinks his affluence, title and influence and other fortunes he had could make him immortal and saved him from dying like his ancestors. At the end of the poem, it was revealed that King Jovinian died and another person replaced him. And finally, let's look at the structure of the poem. The structure of the poem. The poem is made up of 119 stanzas and 849 lines. 119 stanzas and 849 lines. 117 out of the 119 stanzas have 7 lines each, and maintained a rhyme scheme of ABA, BB, CC, ABA, BB, CC. If you don't understand what I mean by rhyme scheme, let me know at the comment section. I'll explain it there. While the last two stanzas have 19 and 11 lines each, with the rhyme scheme of AA, BB, CC, DD, EE, FF, GG, HH, II, and ABB, CC, DD, EE, FF, respectively. So that is about the Proud King. I hope you understood it, and I believe you should be able to answer any questions that come from this poem. Please don't forget to subscribe, and if you have questions, let me know in the comment section. If you don't understand what I mean by rhyme scheme, I'll be waiting for you at the comment section. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time in another video. Bye for now.